Welcome. If you have been daft enough to try and tune into the live show this morning on the A Blog to Watch weekly live channel, and also co-streaming on the main A Blog to Watch channel, just to trick that algorithm, just to fool the algorithm. It's an algorithm fooling kind of day. I think it is traditional though that it's that time of year. It's that time of year where a bunch of people that speak about time can't figure out what daylight savings being removed in the UK does to everybody else's clock because you're 2 weeks behind. So, Ariel, what time is it where you are just now?
12:39 a.m.
12:39. So we're in fact speaking to you. No, we're speaking to you from the same day because we normally speak to you from a different day, don't we? So we're both
Does it
actually.
feel different, Rick?
It
Why
does.
doesn't
Does
Yeah.
Panerai have this complication? Like, if you
listen?
have the equation of time, why not have this?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
DST.
It was going to be my question. Why have
And not a
Crayon
practical, not a
sorted this out?
practical implementation of this. Casio's already done this. You can just turn it on and off per time zone. Even I want like just the line graph where we take something as esoteric as the equation of time and just turn it into a little thing. I want this with daylight savings where it's just like how effed you'll be when you wake up in the morning and it's pitch black outside, and it'll
Which
just be that little sliding scale.
what you need is the Frangler crazy hours. That's what you want, and then you're good. That's the watch with the hands just always like the
Yeah.
hour hand just going from here to here and
Jumps
then there
around.
and then there. Yeah, exactly. That's what you
Right.
want.
Okay.
Isn't Switzerland hoping, maybe not even secretly, that the world would finally eradicate DST? Wouldn't that make all the
Everyone's
watchmakers' jobs just that much easier?
Well, the
Like,
Japanese, they're the ones putting up accuracy specs of 1 second of year, which means nothing if you have to reset the watch twice a year just to stay on top of this thing. Like, I think the Japanese are going to be the ones who say, "Oh, thank you. Okay, now bask in the glory of our uber high accuracy cores."
so this is what to do. We have to have a protest. A certain number of people, and hopefully it gets large enough, simply ignore daylight saving altogether. If at least half the people decide to ignore it, they won't have a choice but to ignore it. It'll have to go away. Time is
Ah,
yeah,
really a function of
democracy.
populism.
I
That's
think
true, but democracy had a really strong decade. I mean, this is bound to work in our favor.
Do you know anyone that voted for DST? I don't.
Yeah.
Rick,
Well,
and
I didn't
farmers
vote for.
apparently.
all farmers, all farmers.
Can't just then you stay on farmers' time all year round. You're on farmers' time.
We have this
That's
argument,
fine.
exactly the same argument every year. I think there is a certain gentleman in the States that's missing a trick here. I think
Yeah.
Donald Trump, with his new involvement in the watch industry, he is the man to sort out your daylight savings problem, Ariel. He's the man who would champion, he's building a building. He's demolished 100 years of history in America, which is frightening. To build himself
it's just a building.
to build himself a nubbin, which would be 3
Building.
times the size of the White House. He's the guy to call it Trump time. DST. Donald. It's just the S that's wrong. Trump time. He's already got the phrase. He's the guy you need to be.
Did you just want to talk about Trump? I'm not really sure where we're
No,
going.
not really. No, not
It's
really.
just the building.
His
Imagine
watch,
if people
maybe.
went. Imagine if that happened. Anytime during while they were building the Cologne Cathedral. They spent like 800 years building it. But in year 100 or 500 or 600, somebody just came and it took 632 years to complete. Somebody would have come and said like, oh, it's just a building. Europe would not have any old buildings.
But there's a difference.
Oh, it's
There's
just
a
a
difference.
Colosseum. Whatever.
It's the difference
Even
because between a building that's being used and a building that's specifically reserved for just museum purposes. Like all those cathedrals, we just basically say, yeah, that land useless now. It's just being for decorative purposes. So yeah, it's like we like to keep decoration, but like buildings that are like an office building, why have any sentiment? You like break it
Okay,
down.
so
It probably
why-
has bad heating and
We are not-
I just
we are
want to
not
question
holding-
the
there are
architect
no-
who drew the plans for the addition, because it's the most inelegant thing. It's like when a brand puts a date window and you're like, why? Why did you ruin
Oh, I
my
didn't see the
otherwise
plans.
respect-
I have no
Oh.
idea what the thing's supposed
Oh,
to
you
be.
don't
Speaking
have
of
right, okay.
function,
It was
No clue.
designed
There
by
are no-
like U-boat. It is just
Oh, so the whole
don't
thing is all
have
asymmetrical
gladiator
now?
games anymore in
It
Europe,
is-
but we don't turn the Colosseum into a ballroom anyway. It's just dead land.
They
That
could
building
put
has
the,
not had
like,
a
the
function
bulk
for
underground.
centuries. Yeah, same thing with the White House. You could have done.
We
So
didn't do
it's
that.
just
We're
like
not. It's not going underground.
the ballroom.
Oh, it's supposed to be a cool underground layer ballroom.
There probably is 16
Just for
stories
you,
below
with your
it.
name on it.
It's
the
the
Ariel
worst
room.
aesthetically pleasing addition I've seen in a while, and I live in
Is
Los
this surprising
Angeles,
to anyone?
which is like the king of terrible additions to homes. I'm
Really
looking
is.
at it and you know there's just some like first level architect student looking at it going, I'm not saying you shouldn't have added to it, but wow, this was not the way to do it.
So you're
Like
saying the new thing is worse than the old thing?
the
Not an
the
improvement.
new thing it's the Cubitus. You had something
It
fine.
is-
It was
it
called the
is,
yes.
Nautilus. It's historic and crap, and then you put this big thing.
it's
over
huge.
it,
All
and
I
it's
said is don't have
massive.
sentiments about breaking down old things for better things. I didn't try to
That's
defend
fine.
making terrible things.
That's fine. It's
That's
about
the most American thing I've heard all week.
Okay, right. Let's get on with our show. Welcome. We need to do our clapage. We need to do our clapage, and we've got a good one this week. We've got a good one this week that was brought to
Oh,
us
the reader
by
submitted one?
the reader submitted one. I like this, where we fully encourage reader submitted. So if you would like to reader submit something, then email at podcasts@ablogtowatch.com. And this is from I mean, he gives us his name and his handle, so I assume he's okay with us sharing it. This is from Chris you'll appreciate this, sort of, David, at time.the.destroyer. Went for dots
That's
rather
the
than
man.
dashes or underscores,
Yes.
but time.the.destroyer.
Way to go, Chris.
I'm Ripley
So-
Sellers, so I approve of his
Of this
structure for
message.
that.
Right, okay. So this is an image, let's see if I can share it, from the London Times, the estimable pamphlet of UK wisdom. Or let me see if I can
Is this not
find-
prestigious journalism?
This is right. Here we go. So there we go. Can you see that? So this is an article from the Times, whereby, and I'll find the actual article while we're at it.
Does it just start with the number 7?
And it is called "What's New in Watches: The Hottest Designs for Autumn 2025."
Very unnew.
Yeah, and in so
It is
that-
the
hot.
antithesis of new.
Yeah,
So hot, so new.
Cold as
And
a rock, basically.
And in this particular number 7 in the list from the Times is joining forces for its dedicated. No, that's Patek Philippe. Where's the? No, the picture's above the article. That's the problem. This is called Over the Moon. Tag Heuer's space legacy was cemented in 1962, and it shows a modified stopwatch. Now the brand's Carrera Astronomer is reimagining the moonphase complication, the Caliber 7 movement. And the image shown is of a date-windowed Tag Heuer pointer date with a moon phase from... Does anybody know what this watch actually is?
I think it's fine they did it in print and on their website. This was not just a one mistake. This is a double mistake.
This was double error. So basically, obviously,
Nobody cares.
What Chris summarizes is that Tag Heuer have sent a bunch of pictures in their press release of, here's some of the early influences for our new watch, and I will show you a picture for those watching of what the new watch actually is.
Radical departure from this.
A slightly radical departure from the small gold.
Will the buyers be disappointed? That's the question.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the
Almost
image.
identical.
That's the image they should have put on the website.
If you squint and stand 4.5 miles away, you know.
It does
turn
have
back.
about 5% shared DNA. Okay.
Yes.
it says Heuer on the dial. That's one thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Barely says Heuer on the dial.
the clue
Look, you
should
got
have
the
been-
hour markers, and it's got lines. They both have
Hands.
lines.
Both
And a
have
moon.
hands.
Many more moons.
Yeah, I mean, the
Oh
clue
my
should have
goodness.
been the clue should have been that this does just say Heuer on the dial and not Tag Heuer on the
I
dial.
like Tag Heuer, but this just looks so gimmicky to me.
Yeah.
Really.
Anyway, so for
This
the
did well, though. This has been a successful product commercially. It really has
Oh,
been.
great.
I don't love
We
the
don't know why.
execution
We don't know why.
necessarily. I want to see
things we
these in the
don't
metal.
understand.
But I like that they're doing something different. Now, I don't know who sourced that image for the Times, but even if you're leafing through the press packet and you see like 45 images of this watch in multiple different colorways and executions, and then you see this one weird like triple calendar moon phase thing that looks like it was made 100 years ago, and you're like, that's the one they mean, I'm gonna do that and print it. Like, where did you just click on the last? That definitely, I looked at the same press
It has
packet,
the
I
moon on
received
it.
the same press packet. This was one image in it. Like, you ignored like gigabytes of other images that depicted the correct watch.
Can you bring us back to the previous one, Rick? Because it's just like look at this 1962 watch. It just has a moon phase. Look at the 2025 version. The 2025 version has to explain what a full moon is, what a quarter moon is, what a new moon is. You know, it's just that's why I'm saying it's gimmicky. It looks like it's for people who skip grammar school. Basically, it's like it still is a moon
David,
phase.
do I have to
It's
explain the downfall of the American education system to you?
system.
This is
no.
they understand the importance of U.S. markets, and we need this
quarter.
education.
It's a 1/4.
Imagine if
and
you're
then
scared by the changing orb in the sky and you look down your watch, you're like, oh, someone else sees this as well. Okay, they have names for
guess
it.
it's
Great.
not
I'm
just
not,
the
I'm not
gods.
worried anymore.
Yeah.
we really are climbing back on the trees. I mean, this looks complicated. This is why I'm saying it's gimmicky, because it just has this very basic function that any other moon phase has, but they make it look complicated so that it looks like, oh, look at my complicated watch. And then
But that's the whole
it's just-
genre.
Yeah.
This watch looks complicated, is not complicated, but looks like it does
Every time
something that
only
maybe it
skeleton.
doesn't.
yeah, true.
My question is, do you think that we're not reading enough into this? This isn't so much a mistake as somebody within the Times watch fraternity going, I am so not publishing that picture.
Could be.
I am so with David that I hear ranting on a blog to watch.
He's one of
weekly.
us.
He's one of us. Do you think this is a cry for help?
Maybe we missed the press conference where they remade this precise watch.
Well,
Maybe
that's
we're
true.
the dumb ones, and Tag's like, no, we actually remade that one too.
I'm curious of what this is. I mean, literally, the title is "What's New in Watches: The Hottest Designs."
Hottest.
I mean, in anybody's world, even the sub-editor, you'd think would scroll down the article and say, "This doesn't look like a hot design for 2020." I've edited enough of these watch articles in the Times to go, that looks quite old and not a hot watch for 2025. So I think there's a subliminal cry for help in here somewhere. There's a conspiracy theory waiting to be discovered at the desk of the Times watch editor, whoever they happen to be. I don't know if they advertise themselves or if this is just ChatGPT
Are we
pulling
still
together.
talking about the story?
Yeah, pulling together
We got there.
all the press releases. There we go. So we haven't actually clapped it yet. So there we go. Well done, Sunday.
Well done, the Times.
Well
It's
done,
literally the Times.
Yes.
What a
yes,
great domain name.
The clue was in the name. Thetimes.com. There we go.
They should have a better intern.
A better intern. So, what's been happening in the world of watches this week? What has floated your boat, gentlemen? Anything in particular caught your attention? Ariel, Ripley, David?
Oh gosh.
Put you on the
My
spot.
butt
Something happened?
Has anything happened?
Oh, I was delighted to hear
Mhm.
that in I guess 2 fell swoops, Las Vegas is now a place that we're excited about as a watch destination. It went from having like almost less than 10 watch brands showing during the JCK Couture time to both JCK and Couture in the same year having partnerships with people that officially can do what they can't do, which is get the watch brands in there. And when I first started is going to Las Vegas for the watch shows, which was closer and more of a real thing than going to Baselworld. Of course, I did go to Baselworld, but it was so great to have it, in the United States and one state over for me in California. So I think this is good. I don't know what will come of it or what it'll be like if we'll see new stuff, but it now looks like the Las Vegas shows are getting their revival, which is, again, they're like the last ones, right? Like it was a massive show, mostly jewelry. Yeah. Massive show for a number of years. And then as events started coming back, especially in Europe and all these watch little events, Vegas was like the quiet one. Like, wait a minute, why isn't anyone going to the event city to do watch events? And again, maybe I'm wrong, but again, shouldn't I be excited about this?
I don't know.
miss
I've never
those
been.
couture days.
I'm excited about it. It makes a lot of sense. Vegas is not a place where sane people live. It's a place where people go, and it's fantastic at hosting events. Why would you not have more events there? It's a natural place. It's a place of wealth and excess and frivolous purchases, and it is everything that the watch industry celebrates at the high end scale. It's a natural home for it, and most people who are in Vegas at any given point in time like the glamour and stuff that comes with the watch industry. So I love to see this infusion of life back into what was ultimately a really dwindling location for watches.
The industry needs more glamour indeed.
I've never been to Vegas. Are all the watch boutiques open like really late at night? Because everything else
They
is
used
open
to
really late
be.
at night.
Your best late night watch shopping is probably still in Asia at this point.
Right, okay. Because nothing beats buying a day
To be
date at 1
fair,
o'clock in the
if
morning.
you don't
Yeah.
walk outside of the casinos, you really have a hard time telling what time of day it is. So if you just adjust your schedule, it can feel like midnight and you're hitting the tables and leaving with your winnings to go buy a watch.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's how gambling tends to work.
No. You're selling your watch to try to get your plane ticket
Yeah,
home.
it's
That's
the other
usually
way
how that
around.
shakes out.
Does every watch boutique have like a back door to it whereby they also will pawn your watch at the same time if you need it for more tokens in the casino?
No, that's the
Yes.
man standing
One in,
outside
one
the
out.
casino.
Oh, is that right? Is there
Yeah.
people doing that? Is that how it works?
I am sure. And there's magicians who will make it disappear. It's like adult Disneyland. It's honestly like someone was like, let's just take a whole city, little micro city, put
Yep.
it in the desert. So just like a theme park, you
escape.
can't really leave all that easily, just put it there. There you can drink in public. Like nothing seems to be served to you or delivered in glass for fear that someone might throw it. So it's like kind of idiot proof as a city. Is you're never going to be the problem. No matter what you do, there's always like 50% of the population is doing something worse at that point in time. So go have fun, go let loose. It's a great city. But it's also really set up for events. All these giant casinos that have enormous venues, and the whole place is set up like the Sphere. It's meant to be a spectacle. I'm really excited to see more watches coming to Vegas. As Ariel mentioned, it's close to us, but it's also just such a fun, quirky city to just have an event at.
So what you're suggesting is that the ballrooms at the casinos may be great places to celebrate watches. Do we know anyone else that's building a ballroom that's also into watches?
Probably Jacob
Wants to
could
do
go.
a watch event in
do you
DC.
think that's what this is all about? For those that didn't tune into the pre-show that you'll find in a Blog to Watch Weekly Live, we've already had a discussion about the Trump ballroom. Do we think we could see a watch event? It's available. I mean, presumably you're going to be able to rent it.
Oh wow.
You think Trump watches for sale in Trump's ballroom? Just all coming together. It's just a thing. It's going to happen. It's going to happen as well
You
as
really
2028.
want a reason to be able to go to this ballroom. You think you
I
just
do.
maybe
Vegas.
what is
Or Vegas.
Look, okay, let's
One or
do
t'other.
this. Let's do
Uh-huh.
this. I'm thinking about a specific scene in a movie that's very relevant. So we need to you need to fly to Los Angeles, right?
Independence Day.
No.
The
and
laser
not at
beam
all.
comes down and it goes.
No, different movie that involves Vegas.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna start on, I think it was on Sunset Boulevard, and we're gonna rent like a 25-foot long white Cadillac Eldorado.
Okay.
And
Liking it.
Ripley and I are going to be in the front seat, and you're going to be in the back seat. Remember
there
the
a hot
nervous
tub?
hitchhiker? You get to be the nervous hitchhiker at Fear and Loathing Las Vegas in the back seat. So a lot of psychedelic drugs, and the intention of doing gonzo journalism, which is not actually covering Couture and JCK, but go into these shows. I guess, what did Hunter S. Thompson do? Just do a lot of drugs and see what would happen?
Pretty much. And then, he sorts out the story at the end.
We're having someone hopefully, handle our hotel rooms. I won't destroy the hotel room as happened, I think, twice in the story, but we do need to have the Cadillac at the least, and we're going to engage in gonzo journalism. Are you with me?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do want one of those limos that's got a hot tub outside in the back instead. Is that okay?
That's all you, sir.
That's
Yeah,
it,
the
it's just
They have to
Tropicana.
drive so slow. I don't want to be in that
for a
vehicle.
lot of slushing around.
You will catch all the 90s STDs in that pool, basically.
Vintage.
It's not a good place. There's not enough chlorine in the world, you know, to
Well, I mean,
disinfect
Bacteria
that
from
pool.
all nations.
That
Yeah.
that's possibly a handy link to this watch then. The Zenith Defy ZeroG Blue Sapphire watch hands-on an expression of spectacle
That must
and
have just gone up.
chronometry. Yeah, it has just gone up. So there we go. Ariel, you had a hands-on with this. I mean, you can wear a large watch, but this watch looks big on you. What size is this watch?
It's 46 millimeters.
46.
Yeah.
Is, why? Why is it? Why does it need
To
to be
appeal to the likes of
46?
you, sir, that won't wear anything under under a 44.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It looks. I mean, the is it a tourbillon that's on it?
No, that's specifically not a tourbillon.
Is it
It's
specifically not tourbillon. As you
it's
say,
a
the article's
complication
just
with no
gone
good
up, so-
name. That's the problem.
Right,
Cool
okay.
complication, terrible
Oh,
name. They call it
okay.
the ZeroG, yet it has a platinum weight on the bottom. Why would something be called ZeroG if it has a platinum weight on it?
Hmm. Why has it got a platinum weight on it in the first place?
To hold it down.
To stop it flying away.
No, so that the balance wheel always faces up. You know those old marine
Right, okay.
chronometers
Yeah.
that would kind of shift with the boat moving? They were like set on a
Uh-huh.
gimbal, and the
Ah,
idea
right,
was that
okay.
no matter what the turbulence was, the balance spring would remain in this horizontal position, right? Because that's the way it would be the most accurate. That was the whole theory behind these marine chronometers. And they said, hey, let's try to put it into a watch. Now, this originally came out during the Terry Nataf era
Mhm.
and was called the
Ah,
Zero
them
G
were the days.
Tourbillon in a watch
Uh-huh.
called Extreme with no E at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And it was neither near Zero G or a tourbillon. And it was huge. In fact, it required a bulbous tumor-like protuberance in the crystal, not too unlike what Grubel Force was making in their cases at the time. Maybe that's why Zeta thought it was okay.
Mm.
Then in, I want to say 2018, so 2008, it originally came out. Then like a decade later, they finally made a thinner version of it that you could put in a flat case that's thick, but not crazy thick. And you don't have to have the the bulbous sapphire crystal. It's funny, like on one watch they chose to stick it upwards, and then the Christoph Colomb, they were shy, so they had it like on the other side. So it was just jabbed into your wrist, but no one could see it. So that's all gone. Now you have a pretty sensible version of it. Time, power reserve indicator, complication that does not have an appropriate name yet, and either a blue tinted or a clear sapphire crystal case. They had a watch very similar to this that came out in 2021. And what I found was interesting is that since then, the retail price has gone up about $50,000 in like 4 years.
Hmm. So let me get this right. The weight is on the bottom as you look down on the face, so that the mechanism is always facing up the way. So you can gimbal your wrist like a compass on a boat. And it
Yeah.
always
I
stays
mean,
flat
look,
to the
there's
surface. Right,
friction.
okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not going to like immediately shoot up right away, but it's going to move that way. So it limits
Okay.
the amount of time it's in a position where it's more prone to error because of gravity.
All right. Okay. And so why is it 46 millimeter again?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they could make it a little bit smaller, but the thing is this, you know those watches that are too thick and narrow, it just looks awkward. And if you make it wider, it somehow kind of evens out the proportions. And I
Right.
think
Okay.
that's the worry here, that if it was too narrow of a watch, they could shave off, I don't know, probably 2 millimeters. It just looked fat. And it's better to kind of, I don't know, step it out this way. You can see that the kind of bezel section is thicker, and then towards the outer case, it gets a bit thinner. They're playing with proportions and shape there. Again, I don't think that if this watch was a bit thinner, a bit smaller, all of a sudden it'd have that much more takers.
Hmm.
It's
I mean,
also
who-
$207,000.
$1,000.
At this point, you want it to be 46 millimeters so someone's going to notice it and you can explain to them the ZeroG mechanism. That is a very expensive piece. So at this point, it's not supposed to be a little shrinking violet. Yeah, lean in, rip the shirt open, let all the chest hair hang out. 46 mils Blue Sapphire, fully appropriate.
$207,000 for a Zenith. That's just
Imagine what you could do to the barn with that kind of money.
Yeah, just like that. I'm wondering just how many tractors I could buy with that. Just like
How many?
one?
How many tractors?
one. Well, it depends what size of tractor, obviously. You could buy 3 or 4 really nice tractors or one incredible tractor.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is
Yeah.
one
How much-
incredible tractor.
How
on the
much is a
road.
Lamborghini tractor?
Well, I mean, it's like the one I've got, I paid like $7,000 for, but it was 25 years
So
old.
the cheapest Lamborghini, full stop, is a tractor. It's not a. I mean, it's not.
Yes.
It's an automobile, I guess, but
Yes,
like
you
not.
you could go and pick up a Lamborghini tractor for about $5,000. You could probably get a Porsche tractor. You could complete the Porsche, Ferrari, David Brown, which is Aston Martin. Who else made tractors? Did Maserati make tractors? You could complete them all for maybe about 25, 30 grand and say that you've got a garage with a Porsche, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, and an Aston Martin in it.
It's not a
And actually,
garage
they were
at
not-
that point.
I
it's a
like that
they were all
kind of
tractors.
depreciation. That's how
They were-
watches need to depreciate.
Yes. Well, I mean, this will depreciate pretty quickly. This watch, the one thing we can say for sure about this watch is it will depreciate as soon as you buy it. What do you think you're paying for this a year from now if you own 10 of it? If there's
Oh,
only
don't
10
think
of them,
this way. You
even
have to be
scarcity.
a patron to the arts.
They really can't be making that many of these, considering that Zenith
Yeah.
outputs like
10.
what 20, 30, 20, 25,000 watches a year, and like the majority of those are going to be like three-handers and El Primeros. This is a small handful of these being produced, and I imagine that most of the people who buy them are those diehard collectors that it will certainly depreciate, but I honestly don't imagine this is going to be one you're going to see just popping up in mass.
I can't get away from the fact that the movement. This looks like rabbit ears. All I'm seeing is a little bunny rabbit there. I don't know if this. Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
I
You've
see
seen
Cap-
worse things in a watch. I'd say
Yeah,
that
I
is
see
pretty
have-
Captain
tame in the
America
scheme
who
of-
got sandwiched behind his shield. Like his arms and legs are all stuck out, and then the shield's just covering his head and torso.
Don't worry, we're going to see far worse later on in the show because we're going to be talking about Breguet later. Right, let's stop sharing that. Let's do our show within a show. Everyone's favorite show within a show. So this week's show within
What's
a
the price
show.
of the Seiko?
Yep. No, we haven't got a guess. We haven't got any Seiko releases. No Seiko
It's
releases.
been too long.
It has been too long. There must be one out there somewhere we can find. We've just not covered it. So, our show within a show, we've got a choice of a brand to speak about, a rant, and a 101 corner, Watches 101 corner. So, it was suggested on one of the YouTube comments after last week's show, Ariel, that it was being disputed the concept that watch collecting was a hobby. So I think you should have a rant for 60 seconds, or in your case, 3.5 minutes, about why watch collecting is actually a hobby. Do you feel up to that challenge for our show within a show? Oh, you're muted. He's already going. He's muted. He's already away. Can't hear you. Can you hear me? No.
He's just self-censoring.
Maybe
He just
self-censoring.
didn't want- Yeah, there were a few things he wanted to say. He wanted to get them out of the way.
No, we can't hear
Yeah,
you.
no.
You're
Maybe you muted your mic itself, or maybe you unplugged it or something.
you
Sometimes you
you
can mute the
flashed
mic
off
itself.
screen and then reappeared with no sound. So who knows?
So okay, so we will have
so-
to make up
well-
what Ariel would have said. All right.
no, we still can't hear you. This is good. This is good.
On
Okay,
what
so,
grounds, Rick, did they argue it wasn't a hobby?
personally, they just said it is not a hobby. Was the comment?
Look, we all tell lies to ourselves. I'm not gonna
It's a
tell
very
them.
elaborate argument. It's not a hobby. On this basis, you can just comment it is, and then that's it.
Okay,
I don't
that's
have an
right.
addiction. I have an interest. Forget you guys. I'm leaving.
Do we have Ariel back? Let's see.
You have to
Wait,
reinstall
can you
Windows,
hear-
all of it. No,
Sorry.
it's C format.
Do you have the backup discs? No, still can't.
This
Log
is
off
the
and-
most Windows thing ever. It's just like something works, and
Oh,
then it just
I've
doesn't.
also got a message that you've stopped recording. This is not good news.
That's great.
Log off and log back in again, just in case.
Poor old Hayden will have to like. I still remember it echoes in my ears what you said last week, Rick, that Hayden has to edit this train wreck into something. But that's
He does
this
a
week
great
as well.
job. He does a great job. Hayden, shout out to, extra clapage to Hayden while we wait for
Yes,
Ariel to
I sent you
return.
an email a week ago, but it's okay that you have not replied yet because you're editing these train wrecks.
Oh dear. Right, Ariel is trying to come back in. Let's see how he does. Ariel Adams, can you hear us? More importantly,
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yes. Oh, yes.
Right, okay, let's do a proper
Welcome to the
introduction.
internet.
Welcome to our show within a show. Ariel is now going to give a rant on why watch collecting is in fact a hobby. A repost to a YouTube post on one of our videos. Mark's set go.
So first, explain to me the nature of the rebuttal. Why do they say it's not a hobby? This
No
is what I need
reasons
to
given.
understand.
They just said it's not a hobby.
So they just don't emotionally don't like the idea that this
Mhm.
time and money they've sunk into something can just be so cheaply summed up as a mere distraction or diversion from the seriousness of life. Is that the sentiment?
That is that is the gist I took from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what I need to defend. I think they're not actually attacking the fact that it's a hobby. I think a hobby is anything where you need to spend time getting better at it, learning about it, sifting through a large variety of things to educate yourself as to the culture of something as well as what you like, and ideally do it together with others. There are ways of modifying watches. There are ways of collecting watches. There are ways of being intellectually into watches. There's ways of socializing watches, ways of trading watches. There's ways of building watches. There's every hallmark of a hobby in there without any exceptions. There's no other special quality of a hobby that is not found in abundance in the watch world. I cannot think of any coherent reason other than people afraid that it would cheapen their expensive purchases to not call this a hobby.
Mhm. It was from, I put the screen up, it was from yeah, I'm not sure. There's a hyphen.
What
So
an argument. It's not a
that's-
hobby. Okay.
That's as much as I'll say.
I understand that people don't want it to be a hobby. When I first started calling it a hobby, the Europeans were like, don't you think that cheapens the entire enterprise?
But if it's
I'm
not a
like-
hobby, what is it? Is it curation? Is it a hoarding? Like, what do you want to call it if it's
They're
not
okay
a
with
hobby?
calling us collectors, but we don't have a
Mhm.
collecting hobby.
I mean, collecting almost implies some intent. I'm like a kid in a candy store. If it looks good, I want it. Like I'm not completing some journey to get every iteration of Mount Iwate. I'm not trying to get every military issued field watch. Like, I just buy the stuff I like. And the only reason people don't want to call it a hobby is there's no way to like do watches other than like buying more watches and talking about them with other people. It's not like you can have a pickup game in the park or something. But like, as Ariel mentioned, the way that you participate in the hobby is the way that you would participate in many other hobbies. It just looks a bit different in the same way that not everyone who likes cars actually races cars. You know, they go to Cars and Coffee and stuff. How does that different than a bunch of dudes at a Red Bar meetup?
I'm going to summarize it this way. The distinction is between hobby and something else important in life. And when you spend a lot of time and effort into something, usually you make a living at it. It's your career, it's your job. So hobby is a designator that says this thing that you put a lot of time and effort into, it just brings you joy or something non-revenue related. Yes, you can turn your hobby into a job, and there's some people that have done so, myself, us, Jay Leno, who's probably one of the most famous and admirable people who took a hobby and turned it into a job. But for the most part, people's hobbies are things they sink money into rather than things that make them money. And that's probably a pretty easy way of most people understanding it.
Okay, so watch collecting is a hobby. You just need to deal with it. It's possible that JD is Swiss and so just can't handle the shame of his entire country being based on a hobby. It's a hobby economy. Switzerland, hobby economy. That should be their new slogan.
Some people's
Okay.
hobby is staying alive. That's the hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and at
fair
least
enough.
Switzerland, hobby or not, you're producing items that I can see and touch. I'm not sure what we make in America other than tech, which seems to be a moving target. So
Trucks.
Oh yes,
tools.
trucks, tools.
We make trucks over here as
We're
well.
really good at making knives. Like America seems to have that,
Yep.
do that really
Knives
well.
and guns. Knives,
We make
guns.
the biggest
yeah.
knives and tires. Okay, you
We
will
make
not
the
beat us
biggest
in those
guns
two
and
things.
tires.
Congratulations, that's a real achievement. 2,000 years of
Knives, guns,
industrial-
tires, all big things we do. Maybe wings, even.
If you want something but want it bigger, we're probably the people who have done it. You like soda? How about
you know-
64 ounces not big enough? 84?
And you know why that is? Because of the decimalization. Because everybody counts things. So every time we count one, it's 1 centimeter. Every time you count one, it's 1 inch. So everything is exactly 2.52 times bigger, or whatever it is.
2.54, and we don't have
5.4.
anything smaller than an inch. You guys go down to millimeters.
We
We're
do.
like inch,
Imagine that.
half inch, quarter inch, eighth of an inch. We don't
It
have
gets
anything smaller than
confusing
an
fractions. You have to do
No,
math
it's a
to go under an
socialist
inch.
thing. It's a socialist thing to be
We're all socialists.
occupied with millimeters.
Anyway, that is our show within a show on our ranting show within a show. Okay, show within a show, brand to or particular watch to bring some light to. Would anyone like to nominate something? I was thinking, because we're going to be talking about Breguet later, that one of you might have something interesting to say about history of Breguet. I feel this is a David kind of topic. Give us the whys and wherefores of Breguet. Why should we care about Breguet as a thing?
Breguet is important. Breguet is everything that matters in the world of watch. It's not, but it's kind of important because it was the moment you start researching it. It's one of those brands that become, the more you know, the more you realize just how little you know about it, and it's mysterious in all kinds of ways, and there's a lot to explore there with its history, with the original inventions, with the clientele, with the archives, with Abraham Louis Breguet's genius as an inventor. So it's just all kinds of amazing details and achievements to be explored. And I think the last decade or so of Breguet is just not really measured up to that. Arguably and admittedly, just heavy and heavy tradition or heritage that it has to carry and live up to. So there are understandably there are some high expectations towards Breguet. It's difficult to live up to those, but I think it might just be back on track to get there, because again, the last 10 years or more, we're not really, there were like some little flashes of impressive achievements, but the consistency was just lacking. We've counted I don't know how many CEOs at Breguet. Finally, they might have settled on some sort of a leadership that might get us there.
Ariel, Ripley.
I think it's impossible to have a conversation about high-end watchmaking without the name Breguet coming up. Not necessarily the brand, often the man, but like you think about every high-end watch, Breguet overcoil, that's not a coincidence in the naming. That geometry of the hairspring was an invention of Abraham Louis Breguet. The tourbillon, that every high-end watchmaking's little favorite piece that no longer has a place in our lives, just this expose of tech that we still embrace, even though everyone says that the arm is the best one, can trace its history back to Abraham Louis Breguet. It's one of those brands that it's never had that, like in the modern era, the same hype as the Rolex, the Patek, the Franck Muller, even the Hublot. But it's impossible to have any conversation about high-end watchmaking, especially on the technical side, without Breguet coming up. And it's one of those brands that's incredibly important to the industry for that reason, where without Breguet, if you just struck Abraham Louis Breguet from history, watchmaking would be radically different than it is today. And so even though people don't, pine after the Breguet models in the same way they made about the latest 6-figure, 7-figure Art Richard Mille piece, the brand is incredibly important to the industry. And examining the brand's back catalog and current production models is almost a case study of high-end watchmaking and the different directions it's gone throughout history.
Ariel, an appreciation of Breguet.
There's really a lot to be said here. So I'm just going to have to choose a few things. I think for most people, the best way to think about Breguet is to break it up into two segments. And there's the historic Breguet of when Breguet Senior was sort of alive during the late 18th century, and then the modern Breguet that began with the Daniel Roth created, case and concept and dial that's meant to take the old Breguet timepieces and imagine them as wristwatches that ended up that was something that happened in the 1980s, and that still looks great today. A lot of the best Breguet models are still based on that type of design ethos. And Breguet today has a bunch of interesting things, including technology, not just in terms of advanced mechanical movements, but like their guilloche machines they have in-house that's able to do things that really no one else can do. The thing which I think is quite interesting about the historic Breguet watches that I've always noticed and appreciated is I've seen a lot of them very close up, seeing them in museums, handled them and things like that. They look surprisingly modern, and they also have aged very well. Yes, a lot of them have been restored and things like that, but the way that they were made allowed them to survive with low corrosion, low color fading. They were really meant to last. It was probably one of the first timepieces that was, at least to my knowledge, truly made to last. And I think that's what's so impressive to me. It's not just how beautiful they were, but how ahead of their time they were in sort of all areas. And I'm not saying there weren't other great watchmakers. I'm not saying there were influences, but within that brand, it's such an impressive thing about watchmaking that with the primitive tools they had, no artificial lighting really, candles and hand operated machines and saws and things like that, they were able to do things with such precision, such mathematics, using the materials they had at the time. Just really, really brilliant stuff. The modern Breguet, again, as we've said, has been a bit of a mixed bag. They have some amazing things. They have some flops. They have some beautiful watches. They have some they're not beautiful. They're all well made for the most part, but it's not really a company that's had a huge direction other than sort of respecting its past. And it's a difficult brand for them to make new things. I think the durability of not just the classic designs, but also sort of what Dan Roth embodied in sort of their classique and traditional watches and things like that shows how lasting that design ethos is. I mean, they come out with new watches today that are new, but sort of look old, and it's just sort of such a crowd pleaser. And again, they're not all as great as the rest of them, but they consistently are able to sort of be impressive. So if you're into really high-end watches, it's you shouldn't ignore them. They're sort of weird about messaging. Branding is sort of confusing, but they are probably what you might consider a pinnacle at the Swatch Group. It's their highest end brand. Yes, they have other expensive stuff like Blancpain, but arguably like the most high-end love today at the Swatch Group all goes into Breguet.
Mhm. It's a very interesting point you make that Breguet, founded in 1775, was 27 years earlier than the first electric light. So imagine doing all of that stuff under gaslight or candlelight. I don't think we appreciate just the skill involved and the short-sightedness or long-sightedness. Can you imagine straining your eyes looking at this stuff when there was no, fluorescent light available to actually?
They had a
light the
few
thing?
hours
It's
during the day. They had these
yeah,
they had these sophisticated rooms set up where light would enter, and they would do it mostly in the winter, so they had even less time. And they would know. So when the light entered, it was pretty bright. It was pretty nice. That's why a lot of these, watchmaking facilities have big windows and stuff like that. It's really for that heritage, because using natural light was how they were able to do most of this.
Yep.
And I don't know, at night they would either clean tools. Who knows what they would do?
Do lots of other watchmakery things. Good stuff, right? That's Breguet and why it's all that matters in watches. Our 101 corner today. So, who would like to suggest an educational topic for those that are new into the hobby or just don't want to admit or something they don't know? They've always, the kind of questions you want answered, but you were afraid to ask about watch collecting. What is an escapement? Or would anyone like to propose a 101 for watches for this week? Obviously, so far we've had the equation of time, and what was last week's? Last week's was something equally complicated.
We're so not novices. This is a real
it
challenge.
was a constant force mechanism.
Constant force mechanism. So we've had constant
Yes,
force
that was
mechanism
my
and
suggestion.
an equation of time. Would someone like to do a 101 on something else educational for our audience?
Let's talk about types of lubrication.
Go for it.
Oh yeah, let's talk
Please
about
don't.
the formula and the intricacies
Let's
of
discuss
lubricating a movement.
the difference
David.
between a chronograph and a chronometer. I think
Okay.
that's a good
Yes,
novice
like
thing.
that,
It's
like
it's
that.
even to this day.
Oh.
I see listings and I see discussions when people get confused by the two things. I mean, they are both called a chrono, but chrono means time, but chronometer and chronograph are two different things. Chronometers are accurate watches, whatever that means. Usually it means a COSC certificate comes with the watch, and the chronograph is a watch with a stopwatch function added to it. And it's just, maybe it's just I've been at this too long, but it's still so annoying. I mean, it's just like it's, the world of watches is like, if you're into it for a week, people sometimes assume they already know, like, oh, of course it's a chronometer. I'm like, no, not every chronograph is a chronometer, and not every chronometer is a chronograph, so it's just like, and no tourbillons are tourbillons, for the love of God. If I see tourbillon one more time somewhere, I would just scream at my screen, basically.
Okay.
I guess we could go, like, establish a good list of novice mistakes that people, in their
And-
light-hearted
And can a
manners,
chronograph also be a chronometer? And is it
Yeah.
chronometer or chronometer?
whatever.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Yeah,
Unanswerable questions.
one can be the other. They're in no way mutually exclusive. They're totally different things. One describes the type of watch movement, and then within the family of chronographs, you can have modular, which is basically a regular movement with a module bolted onto it to supply it with its chronograph functionality, or an integrated chronograph where it was designed from the ground up to be an chronograph, and so the chronograph mechanism is integrated into the movement. This describes the architecture of the movement, its functionality, and all of that. Chronometer is basically, as David mentioned, just a statement, usually independently certified, although a lot of brands will do it in-house, and that's a whole other discussion. Listen to our Ariel's superlative podcast with the COSC about that. But all it is basically someone, often a third party, saying it runs within these specs and under these conditions. So you can have any watch that, if you wanted to submit it through COSC testing, assuming it meets the parameters, can be a chronometer, and it can be chronometer certified. But within that, you get COSC certification. You can have METIS certification. You can have Rolex's superlative chronometer certification, which is their own in-house thing. And so there's a myriad of different types of chronometer certification. And there's also a bunch of different types of chronographs, but they're two wildly different things with just the same name.
I would also want to answer the question of, like, which one do you want more first? Like, if you're just starting out, like, what do you need, a chronometer or a chronograph? I would say start with chronographs, because it's something you can play with and something you can do. And I also think that it's
Because
important
it's
to
a
explain.
hobby.
It's a hobby. You can play with your buttons. What are you going to do? Be really on time to places? I mean, that's a dumb hobby. So it's also fun to explain where the term chronograph came from. And it literally means time writer. And you're like, why? It's not writing anything. Well, the original chronographs did. They actually had a small pen or writing instrument that would make marks on paper. So it would make a mark and then stop making a mark when it was not timing. And that's how you would read it. It's sort of arguable who started the first chronograph. I know for a while it was Riasec, and Montblanc really got a kick out of that. And then Louis Monet is like, no, we came out with the first one. I mean, different devices for slightly different purposes. They were both very early on. The Riasec one was designed for horse racing, and that was an instrument that did actually write on paper. So that's why Montblanc was really excited about it. They're like, oh, watch, chronograph, writing, we make pens. Oh, we got to do it. And that's actually why I like the Riasec. Is one of the coolest Montblancs. Yeah, we make something right. Oh my God, it's perfect. Branding genius. We have to do it. So
we're good for the next 10 years in terms of products. Great.
Get yourself a Riasec. Talk about
you
thick and poorly proportioned, but no,
Can you
cool.
imagine
They're
if
great.
Can you imagine if all this had happened and Omega also made pens? Can you imagine the combo of the Speedmaster, and if there'd been a pen manufacturer as well, and the moon and the whole thing, we would be in a different.
What are you trying to say? Oh,
if-
you always got to bring the conversation back to Omega or Panerai. This is what people like, everyone.
It's just where it goes. It's just where it goes. It's just the natural.
If a brand has more than 4
unwinding.
models, Rick can't process. So it's like
Cannot
Panerai, it's the
compute.
Luminor, the Radiomir, Omega, Speedmaster, Seamaster,
I'm a bearer
Constellation.
of small brain. I can only remember 3. I can only remember the number of things I can count on 2 hands. So that's the number of Omega. No, actually, to be fair, there's Omegas. There's thousands of them. But Panerai, there's basically 2. and that's fine. I can handle that. I can handle that. But unfortunately, Pan and I had nothing to do with
They have basically
fighting
4.
instruments.
Come on.
Any of these things.
So chronograph, chronometer, you go for a chronograph first. What is a good entry-level chronograph to whet your appetite? You're just joining the hobby, because it is a hobby, refer
Oh,
to earlier
yeah.
section.
So I think one thing about chronograph should be mentioned. It's like twice the number of parts as a regular three-handed watch. The way to think of it is there's a watch, and then there's a second watch built on that you can stop and start and reset. So servicing a mechanical chronograph costs a lot fundamentally, assuming you have it done right to any degree. If you go to Rolex and you have a Daytona, it's going to cost more than a Datejust. Three-handed ones cost less than the chronos. It has to do with the number of parts. So if you're buying a really, really cheap mechanical chronograph, like one of those Seagull things that you can pick up for a couple few hundred bucks, it will cost you more to have it properly serviced than what you paid for the watch. Quartz chronographs, you basically just pop a new battery in it until that stops working in however many decades that may be. But it is one thing to consider when you're buying a chronograph, that if you're going for mechanical or quartz, and that's a whole separate discussion, be aware that the mechanical ones, it's going to be something you plan on keeping for the long term, think about just the cost of service, because that does play a factor when you start talking about decades of ownership.
And the thing is, because labor is such a large percentage of the cost of service, there is a point if you buy a cheap mechanical chronograph whereby it's just going to cost more than the watch, or such a disproportionate amount more than the watch to service it, that you may feel actually you'd rather save up for something slightly more expensive, so that when you do service it, you're not paying 75% of the cost of the watch to actually have a human being open this thing that was basically made by robots to service it. So yeah, all sorts of things to consider.
I say go on wherever you like to search for watches and find something with a 7750, a Swiss Edda Valjo 7750. When I first started getting watches, that was like the mechanical chronograph, and like most mechanical chronographs had that movement in there.
Yep.
They made a ton of them. They have problems from time to time, but for the most part, they're like amongst the most reliable automatic chronograph movements. They come in a few different varieties, but they're, again, date movement with a 12-hour chronograph, automatic. It's a great place to start. You can go thinner, you can go more sophisticated, but I still think that for a lot of people, finding something with a 7750 is probably the way to go. And look, if it breaks, buy another one.
Good.
Don't go crazy with
the
servicing.
nice part about
one thing I would say is it's probably not the 7750, but the 2894 is I think a much more refined and better movement. I mean, it's true that you will have a lot more choice with the 7750. A lot more watches tend to use those, but I don't think you have to pay a premium. You just have to do a little bit more research to find a good watch that you like, that is probably the same price from like the 2000s or maybe even the 2010s with the 2894-2. It's just slimmer, it's more quiet. I really don't like the rattle of the 7750. It's thick AF. I wouldn't really want to. I mean, if you want to experience what a better movement is, the 7750 is a good place to start, because you have a lot of options. It's very
the only way is up.
but it's a noisy and thick movement that I think could do with a little bit of refinement.
The 2894 is thinner. There's things that you give up. It's going to be you're going to have to service it more often. It's modular. So it is another good option. And Dave is probably correct that given depreciation, even if a 2894 watch would have cost more back then, it's all basically going to be about the same right now. And there's a lot of really pretty watches that did it. But I think you'll agree that there's more parts available for the 7750. There's just so many more of them. It was definitely a crowd pleaser.
You can see more with the 7750. It's also true that you can see the chronograph mechanism, the cams working on the case back. If you have an open case back on the 2894, it's all on the dial side, so you will not see the chronograph working. That's true.
And the 7750, you're going to find them in some pretty high-end watches. My Breitling has a 7750 in it, and what's nice about that is when I would need to get it serviced, I'm not stuck going to Breitling like I would be with a B01. So if you're getting a more expensive watch and really don't want to pay for the service of a luxury brand, you're going to find a lot of 7750s and 7753s and some pretty high-end watches before everyone wanted to go to in-house stuff. And so servicing a 7750, it's, as Ariel mentioned, it's one of the most common chronographs. Parts are in ample supply, and most competent watchmakers are going to be able to get it up running. It is thick. It's an automatic chronograph. It is portly. There is kind of a floor as far as the case thickness you're going to get from it. David's right. The modular approach, it will give you a thinner profile, but ultimately it's a complex watch. It's automatic and it has a stopwatch. So none of these are going to be these really sub 10 millimeter cases, no matter what type of movement.
Well, I'm glad for our 101 distinction between chronographs and chronometers. We kept it straightforward through and didn't start comparing 7750s to 2894-2s.
No,
We haven't even brought up
that would-
Lamania, though. I think that is
Let's not do
also-
that. That can be next week's brand.
The
Lamania.
Salida equivalent.
Okay, let's move along. Last week's What You Like, we were set the task. It was Scottish cuisine. I hope you've all done your research. I'm sure you haven't. But we were going to do What You Likes for 3 items of Scottish cuisine. Rumble thumps. Have you researched what rumble thumps are?
You lost me at Higgis.
Haggis. and Lorne sausage. So let's start off with Lorne sausage. Did you investigate what Lorne sausage was? If not, I shall show you a
No.
picture, and that will disturb you greatly. So Wikipedia Lorne
I
sausage.
think I spelled it wrong. I got a lot
There
of the
we go.
guy who created SNL. I don't.
There we go. So that's Lorne sausage. It's square. It's basically square sausage. So it's sausage that you don't put into a sausage case. You effectively put the meat into a baking tin. And
Has
because
nobody from Scotland been to Italy ever or France, to look at like what a plate of appetizing food looks like?
Is that what it looks like when they get burnt?
Just-
What's that
no,
burnt
It's
thing?
complete
no,
denial.
that's the burnt stuff on the left hand side is black pudding, which is blood sausage.
Ew.
Oh,
So you
yeah,
have
we have
on
that
this on this plate, you basically have fried bread, top right hand corner. Go watch on YouTube. Baked beans, some mushrooms, 2 round black pudding slices. That's been eaten a bit, and then 2 bits of Lorne sausage, of which a bite seems to have been taken out of one of them. So Lorne.
Do you ever
so
eat
this is-
anything green?
Mushrooms are basically. I mean, I like the balance. I think. What is the word? It's like versatile or diverse, like plate or something like that, or when your diet is like properly versatile. But here you're eating round stuff and square. So I guess this is what a dietitian would recommend. It's all brown, but some of it is round. It's basically a perfect balance of round and square food. Well done.
okay. So the question. So which watch brand or items does this lean towards? The way I was going with this was that Lorne sausages which are not in cases, so it's almost like a skeletonized sausage.
It's a
because you don't-
Hublot Spirit of Big Bang, one of those things, or no, the Square Bang. It's like
Square
they had the
Bang.
round one. It was
Square
fine.
sausage bang.
Yeah,
Square-
it's the
right,
square
it was fine.
sausage. Yeah, it's the sausage bang. That's the square sausage bang. They
I
made
like
the
that.
square version of the thing that's normally round.
Uh-huh.
And why? Just for novelty? Well, why not? Yeah, we can
Yeah,
make a square
I
one
like
too.
that.
Why are we, this is not a game for people to play sober. You realize that, right?
Well, it's a hobby. Remember that it's a hobby. You're allowed to drink.
Let's play drunk games sober. That's my hobby.
So, Spirit of Big Bang.
No, Square Bang. Square Bang. I think this.
Square Bang.
Do you make an oval one? That would be the or tonneau shaped sausage, Rick.
okay.
That would be the spirit of big
Tonneau
sausage.
I think it's
Spirit of Big
Ben and Ross.
sausage.
And we're looking for a brand that makes a lot of square watches, primarily square
Uh-huh.
watches, or maybe
Okay.
equal amount of square and round watches, which makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Who
Ben
makes
Ross.
the same amount of square and round?
I actually went. I'll be honest. I was going for Norcane just because of everything at the moment is skeletonized, and I felt that Lorne
Mhm.
sausage best represented the idea of a skeletonized sausage because you don't encapsulate it in anything. You just stuff it in to the case, and what you see through what you see.
I love
through,
how
but-
often you think about Narcan.
They've got into my head. They've got
Like
into my
every
head.
show. I love it.
Every show it's an arcade. I don't know. I don't know why that is.
Expanding the
it-
RAM of watches up to 3 now, Rick. It's Panerai, Omega, and
Arcade,
Arcade.
Omega, and Arcade. It's just when I walk past, what it is every time I walk past the boutique that sells them, I'm just greeted by this rainbow technicolor of watches, and it just sears itself into my brain. There's green ones and orange ones and blue ones, and they're all skeletonized. Well, they look the same. And why would somebody pay £5,000 for one? I don't know. All questions that
Are
need
you
answers.
describing Panerai or Norcane?
It could be describing all three of them. That's the thing. I like brands that I can remember three brands so long as I can describe them all in exactly the same way. Why are they so big? Why are they so expensive? Why the skeletonizations? I don't know. All sorts of colors. Anyway, so yeah, I like this square bang for the Lorne sausage. Right, next up was Rumble Thumps. Did anyone investigate what Rumble Thumps
I did.
are?
Can I get some insight on the ratio? From what I understand, Rumble Thumps, the traditional Scottish casserole dish, is made with mashed potatoes, cabbage, and onions. What is
And
the
cheese
ratio?
and cheese.
And lots
You
of
then put
cheese. Okay.
cheese on the top and you roast it.
What is the
bacon.
ratio? Like, is this primarily cabbage? Because you've made the one green thing y'all eat not green anymore if it's
Yeah.
covered in cheese.
I would now here's a wee recipe here. Let's see, 1 kilo of potatoes to to a quarter of a kilo. So it's about 4-to-1 potatoes to cabbage.
Okay, so
4-to-1
the,
potatoes to
the cabbage is there to make us feel better about ourselves.
Yes, and to enable roughage, to enable a good digestion.
Is it
Eh,
good? Is Rumble
it's,
Thumps tasty?
Lovely, brilliant, highly recommend it. Great
looks
dish. I
tasty.
mean,
Yeah, it looks like
nice.
there's not a lot to dislike here. It's a lot of
No,
cheese and potato.
but it is a side dish. So where I was going with this is, what is the second watch you buy? What is the best? You've bought your first watch. What is the best second watch? The best accompaniment, or just the best accompaniment to a watch? Maybe it's a
G-Shock.
watchfinder or a
Comfort
case.
food goes great as the second watch. You can have whatever your main luxury piece, the star of your collection. But when it comes down to it, that reliable, simple, basically idiot proof. I mean, if you put enough cheese on it, this would be the G-Shock. It's not the star of the show. That's your Grubel Forsey, but it's the one that probably garners the most wrist time, and you get a second helping of this when you stand up at. What do you eat this at? Like, is this at the holiday thing or?
No, it's just an accompaniment to anything. You would just have it maybe on a Sunday with a Sunday roast or something.
Right. So then you shamelessly give yourself like 4 portions at once in the same way that you just buy a bunch of G-Shocks. I'm going to say G-Shock on this.
G-Shock on this. Any other takers?
I'm saying Seiko Alpinist.
Alpinist. Interesting. Just because
It's a
you
boring
can.
classic that you keep going back to.
Okay, good. Like it. David?
Do they make iterations of this? Like, do they get fancy with the Rumble Thump and make like different
different
thematic
cheese,
versions?
three cheese Rumble Thumps.
Oh, I see here it says
Or,
add bacon, add crispy bacon.
Add bacon or crispy bacon on top, so it becomes like a macaroni and cheese. On
Yeah,
top
I can
of
see
it.
that
too
being the
healthy
Alpinist.
anyway.
You want the Ginza, you want the baby. Yeah.
You can make
have it with-
spooky versions for Halloween.
Spooky Rumble Thumps.
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume I've never tried it with sweet potato, but presumably you could incorporate it into your American celebrations by using sweet potato rather than
Are you
normal
confusing
potato.
Thanksgiving and Halloween?
No, I'm not confusing Halloween. I know there's two different things, but wait,
We don't
pumpkin-
always.
a pumpkin version and a Thanksgiving version. David,
I'll go with the Datejust. I think this is basically the healthy option after the Lorne sausage. That once you have a watch that gives you indigestion, you turn to a classic that that just relieves you in a way. And this is basically a breath of fresh air after Lorne sausage. So I guess this is like a Datejust 36. And if you put cheese on it, that's the fluted basil in white gold. And then
I was gonna
you're
wonder.
there,
I wanted to
basically.
know what the fluted bezel was. That's the golden
cheese.
the golden burnt cheese. Okay.
love it.
Oh,
love
yeah.
it,
What is
love it,
what's
love
the
it.
diamond set? Is that when you get fancy with the bacon? That's the
Yes,
diamond
that's
bezel
exactly
date
it,
just?
yeah.
All right.
It's when you put it in a glass dish to serve it.
Will one of you at some point explain to me how this game has something to do with watches? At some point.
Well, we are talking.
We
about
just
watches.
drag watches into it forcefully.
it's
That's what
just
we
the
do.
way-
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
what
way
it
it
seems like.
works. It's just
Unwittingly, they're like, I don't want to be here.
It's an
allows us
alpinist
what
just
we
getting
do.
dragged into casserole.
It allows us to talk about watches that there has been no news on this week. It just allows you to drag in anything from your encyclopedic knowledge to associate with something entirely
How is there
random.
no news when there's been so many emails about celebrities wearing watches at events we don't care about?
Okay, here's your option. I either keep going with this game, or we talk about celebrities
Please
and
do.
what watches they're wearing.
No,
What would we
Which would
say?
you choose?
I mean,
So-
like, it's not like
We
there's
could
no
criticize
news. It's
them,
just
like-
no news worth talking about. Like, Nevada Grenchen has more stone dials for this F77. It's like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's not a new watch, not a new material. Guess it's a new SKU.
Okay,
And with that
Haggis.
said, we're talking about haggis.
now we're on
Ah,
haggis.
Instead,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The apex of the show.
The
Forget the
apex
line
of the
extensions. Let's go to the sheep stomach.
Okay, so the issue here is haggis is all sorts of stuff. I mean, the reality is, how many of you have tried haggis? None of you.
Why
have.
is
I've
it called a
proudly
pudding?
not tried
I think
haggis.
I did try it.
Haggis is really, really nice until you read what's in it. So that's got to be a couple of watches to begin with, surely.
But
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
really,
So
really
how about
nice
this?
watch
The
until you get the
reputation
detail.
precedes it, and the reputation is actually worse than what it is.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm happy with that. And it's famous for being encased in an animal stomach, so it's really good stuff because it is like
Moser?
chopped onion, oatmeal, seasoning, salt, stock, and then it's wrapped in a sheep's stomach. So it's going quite well until it's then wrapped in the sheep's stomach.
But
which
back
is
then, they
awful.
wrapped so many things in sheep's stomach. Let's be honest.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I mean, sausages traditionally were in the intestines of the animals, the casing. So, you know,
So where do we go?
it
The
gets
haggis-
a bit of a bad rap because of its casing.
a bad rap because of its casing. We're back to
Talking
Hublot again, we're not?
Hublot, okay.
Yeah, it's the back. Yeah, it's
Again.
Hublot.
All roads come back to
All
Hublot.
roads lead to Hublot. So Ariel, what's your watch choice for haggis?
I'm gonna go to one of those like early generation Grubel Forces
Mhm.
that had like the tumor on the cases and things like that. That like, oh, if you really get to the inside, it's amazing. It just don't be so bothered by the skin.
Is it not some of those Max Boozer collaborations from before the what did they call them?
The opuses
The opus. It's not like an opus.
doesn't gross me out as much.
Not grossed out.
Yeah.
Ripley, a watch that grosses you out until you look on the inside and you realize how beautiful it really is. And as you say, the A-Langens, A-Lang and Zona, the A-Lang Zona 1, which I think is
Lange
really...
one. You've just offended
Lange
the
What's
one.
that?
country of
What's
Germany.
that
It's
Ulysses
really
Nardon
What is
where
it?
it was with that artist whose name we could not pronounce or spell, and who hid his face, and it's their regular three-handed movement,
yeah.
which is quite pretty, but hidden behind this blacked out, unintelligible thing. You couldn't ever appreciate it because it was just a blacked out version, but inside it was a regular watch, and I like the movement. It looks good architecture.
Okay.
Not
I'm
my
just trying to
favorite, but
find
I guess that goes for haggis.
Well,
I
the
think
reason
what
I was
we're
going
looking for is a watch that has a bad reputation and then is actually surprisingly good. That's what we're looking for. Not something that's ugly on the outside as so much. It's like because what you said, Rick, is that once you try this, it's actually
it's
good,
good.
and people tend to like it,
true,
right?
True.
What would that be?
A watch. I mean, we're
there something
we're
there? I'm just
Hublot
not
again,
sure
are we
what
not?
it
It is
We're back-
Hublot.
we're back
It
to
is
Hublot.
It's a
Hublot.
Mecha 10
Yeah.
or a
Yeah, it's-
Unico. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking the Lange one because I think it's terrible looking from the outside, but on the inside, it's just lovely. I
Whoa.
just never liked the that particular A-Lang Zona, but there we go.
It's a
You're the
big
first one.
departure from a Panera. That's true.
That's right.
It's true, it's
Oh.
true.
It has aesthetic balance and virtually perfect proportions, timeless design, all the rest of it.
It's funny, look, just
If they put a
Just
crown protector on it,
dripping
would you
with
like
beauty.
it better?
give it to Moser to do their mishmash of watches. A Lange one with a Panerai crown protector on it, big single date window. There we go. So that was my vote. But David, so the you reckoned what that looks the Mecha 10?
Yeah, maybe something again. Hublot is an easy idea here. I wonder there has to be something else.
Something that's got a bad rap until. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe actually. What about the Daytona? Because it's got a bad rap
No,
in the
no, no,
sen-
no,
it-
no.
no,
There's not like every bro, like finance bro, clamoring to get haggis. That's not. That's not. That's not the TikTok.
That's a wait list. The haggis wait list.
No,
Yeah.
but what I'm meaning is like it has a reputation, and then you actually try one on and you go, that's actually quite nice.
I think you're thinking one of Rolex's non-oyster watches, like the Cellini or the
Yeah.
Okay,
whatever the
1906.
19,
That's
whatever
good.
it's called now. I totally
Okay.
forgot.
Those
What?
were easily-
The blue
Seriously,
one.
what's the date?
1906.
1908.
Okay, that's right.
1908.
1908. 1906.
It's just a random number, but
Just a
close
random
enough.
number. Because it's the
I
1916
also called it
company.
Mate,
and
it's
the
the
1908
land
at some
dweller.
point.
It's the land dweller.
Land dweller,
Terrible
okay.
name. Terrible. Poorly received. Everyone just wanted to say bad things about it.
Mhm.
But under that, that's a killer movement. That's a really interesting movement.
Mhm.
It's a cool movement. And if you really wanted to give the watch a chance, it's, people like critique the dial motif they chose for it. Whatever. Look at the watch in context. It's a more refined oyster quartz with an awesome new mechanical movement. To me, this is the land dweller.
Good point.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Land Dweller, the haggis of watches. Excellent. I like
I've
that.
still never seen one in not
A
in
haggis
person,
or
in
a
the real
land
world.
dweller?
A land dweller in a haggis in the real world.
I will try and get one side by side and see if you can spot the difference.
It's going to be hard.
I have not seen a land dweller on anyone's wrist outside
No,
of
I've seen one.
what,
No,
I-
I've seen one in a boutique.
but like
I've seen
anyone
one.
wearing one.
No, I've not seen
I've
anyone
never
with
Not
it.
seen
for
one where
exhibition
it'll happen.
purposes,
It'll
but just,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So next week's show with it. Next week's What You Like. What we're going for, gentlemen? Then Scottish
We're going
food.
for a show where nobody mentions Panerai, Omega, Hublot, Norcane.
So
and Rolex.
I'm not on next week's show. Is what you're
You know
saying.
he could
really.
not abide
you
with
are. You
Norcane.
could just yeah.
Just gonna bleep out all the references.
You can't have a show without Norcane. It's impossible.
Okay,
It's impossible. They're so relevant.
Okay, then how about we do what? Okay, so how about what is the Norcane of watches? What is the Panerai of watches? And what is the Omega of watches? What watch is without
What's the
having to
question?
buy?
So
Why are you
what-
getting so circular?
Wait, so you're saying what brand is Omega?
Yeah.
If there was
Just
another
Omega.
brand,
If there was another brand, what would it be?
why are you doing this to the audience? Why?
because they don't pay me enough. Because I can.
To the audience.
Okay, so a selection for next week. Let's go for. I mean, have we tried sport or film stars, movies, TV shows, songs, music.
Classic horror movies, because it's going to be
Classic
good stuff for
horror
Halloween.
movies. Yes, okay, go for it. Classic horror movies. Give me 3 horror movies.
I just watched The Thing. John Carpenter's The
Thing.
Thing.
Okay, so that's Hublot. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Next. Next up, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street. That's Panerai.
Okay.
Nightmare on
which
Elm
one's
Street.
Norcane?
Which one's Norcane? And final suggestion: horror movie.
We have to go buy one from a completely different maker. We can't have like another. John
Oh, like
Carpenter
the
one.
Attack of the 50-foot woman, or whatever it is.
That was not a horror movie.
Was it not? I never watched it. I just know the title. I just know the
Is that
name
also
from playing
Norcane?
charades.
They're remaking that.
They are.
Yeah, Tim Burton.
The Thing, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Nightmare Before Christmas.
What's something really campy? Gremlins.
Gremlins. Oh,
Gremlins.
Gremlins. That's definitely Norcane.
We love puppets over here.
they're
The horror
threatening
movie
to-
has puppets. We are into it.
Yeah, they're threatening to remake that as well. Okay, excellent. Right, let's move on to conclude our show with a quick round of Hit Myth Maybe. We will start off by going around the room. Ariel, where are you? What are you wearing?
I'm in Los Angeles and I'm wearing this Casio G-Shock for the 30th anniversary of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't think it has enough colors on it. It
That's
Somebody
like
broke
the
into
Gremlins. Gremlins
It-
for next week, basically.
I mean,
somebody
it
broke
is-
into the
it is-
Norcane boutique.
I love these wild color G-Shocks. This one's interesting. It's double the price of the standard GA 110 Winter Space stuff. Usually the limited editions are not that much more, but this one's like double the price of the standard limited edition. So I thought that's interesting. Can't explain that, but
Big
I guess that
licensing
Evangelion
agreement.
license that's an expensive license.
Ripley, what you wearing on your body and on your wrist? You're
Well,
obviously in front of your wall.
in Los Angeles, wearing the luminous diver style shirt from the Blog to Watch store. And since I'm wearing the HYT trucker hat, which has green accents, I figured I would wear the Casio 2100 series in its with a matching green dial.
Very nice indeed. David, where are you and what's on the desk? And what's on the shelf? What's been added to the shelf this week?
It's the same. I think it's largely the same thing. I have a box or a bag that I haven't opened since Geneva Watch Days. I will get to it eventually.
No, let's open it. Let's a live unboxing. Come on, open the box.
No,
Open
we're
the
doing that
box.
next week. that's for next week because I really don't know what is in it. And then what I have here is the what I have here is the Octo Finissimo. That's Yurik on the screen now, but eventually maybe I will be seen as well.
What does
I just see-
Bulgari identify that dial color as?
I don't know. It's
Salmon.
metallic salmon, probably.
Salmon
it's a
with an
copper
L.
salmon. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So that's cool. Octo Finissimo Automatic.
Good
It
stuff.
looks like
Good
a
watch.
makeup color, like a bronzer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in
Yeah,
Scotland wearing
it
a
really
Panerai.
depends.
Okay, first up, we talked about them earlier on in our show within this show, the incredible magnetic 10 hertz Breguet 7225 flash in the pan, or Breguet's long overdue return. An article by yourself, David. Tell us about the watch, which, I'm sorry, looks like Mickey Mouse on the face.
It does.
It does have a Mickey Mouse
it
quality
does have
to
a
it,
Mickey
but you
Mouse
can tell
quality.
that to good old Abraham Louis because he designed it way before.
For
There's
Mickey
a
Mouse.
pocket watch. If you scroll down a little bit, I
Yep.
believe I added a picture of that.
Yes, you did. He did.
So
we
there
should
should
call
be a
Mickey
picture.
Mouse the Breguet from now on.
Yeah,
Breguet
Disney just
Mouse.
shamelessly copied
we go.
basically Breguet. There you go.
Yeah,
So that's from the early 1800s. So that's pretty cool. And that already on its own had two subdials, 2 seconds subdials, and you could reset, and use just one of those as a chronograph counter, basically. So it's just like, even if you came up with something like that today, people would get excited if there was like whatever, a Roger Dupuis or whatever else, like, if somebody did that. So that, I think that would be really nice. It has this magnetic pivot regulator thing in it that Breguet developed in the early 2010s and then launched gradually, and it allows for the watch to run at an increased frequency of 10 hertz, which is really cool. And adding magnetism to the regulating organ of a watch is the last thing you would think of doing, right? Because that's just bad. But of course, everything is made of silicon in there, so it's entirely possible. I did some digging, when writing this article, and I learned that it's 13,000 Gauss, would be the magnetic field that is produced. And of course, the sister brand of Breguet and Swatch Group, Omega, has 15,000 Gauss watches, so it's probably, silicon and roughly similar technology and innovations in that escapement, in the sense of the materials that they are using. So if Omega can produce something for 15,000 Gauss, then probably this is also a 15,000 Gauss watch, especially because it has 13,000 already in it, which is extremely rare and quite special. So I think it's just a bonkers cool watch, both in terms of innovation and performance. Apparently or allegedly, it is Breguet is rating this as plus minus 1 second per day, which is just wild.
So what's the magnetic part of it do?
If you scroll down in my article, you will see an image that I found that depicts the magnetic fields and the way that they act. And basically, the whole point is that you have the balance wheel on a shaft, and this shaft is between 2 jewels. But in this way, you are just basically, you're barely touching jewels, so you have a lot less resistance, and you have these magnetic fields working towards this higher frequency as well. So it helps it establish this amplitude and this operating frequency. Without magnets, it would be very, very difficult. So there's the picture, and of course, it also helps stabilize it in some way. So it's all kinds of benefits that come from powerful magnetic fields.
Let me add to that. They call it a magnetic pivot point, and the idea is that if it was metal on something else, would be a lot more friction and, as David said, resistance. So you have wear resistance as a function of this, but also the speed at which it's moving, it would act like a drill. It would actually like probably cut through stuff. So these types of magnetic pivot points use magnetism to hold things in place. But my understanding is things aren't touching one another or aren't touching one another as much. So this is really, at the end of the day, about reducing friction.
Okay, so it doesn't touch on one side. It gets held there by a
Barely.
magnet. Barely touches.
And barely on the other. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. I don't have my signs with me. So it's a hit. I'm assuming it's going to be a hit all round. It's an upside down hit. Come on, get your regulation correct. There we go. It's a hit from all four of us. Ripley, why is it a hit?
I mean, you might not like the aesthetics, although, as David mentioned, there is obviously longstanding historical precedent for it. But you have to applaud them for the technology. Who knows how well this is going to work or the long term of it? But it's kind of genius. The way I kind of envision this is, those little desk toys where the thing's suspended between two magnets, and if you just give it a twirl, it just floats. There's no resistance. It's basically floating in air. Not actually the same thing here, but you can see how using magnets can decrease that fundamental friction, which is the enemy of, chronometering performance and consistency and part wear and all of that. So, I mean, it looks great. I mean, look at the movement. That's what I want to see from Breguet. Frosted bridges and classic stuff is lovely, but like, I love when they just go ham with the engravings. I don't think it's a bad looking watch, albeit with the Mickey Mouse face, but just, I mean, you got to just give it a hit for the movement alone and just them pushing the envelope in a very interesting way that could be translated to other models and kind of serve as a foundation in the future.
Cool. Ariel?
I just don't know anyone that couldn't like this. I mean, it's true that not everyone has to like the design, but it's still cool looking and pretty. So like maybe it's not the prettiest watch, but it's just really cool and effective, even though parts of it are weird. I love the like irreverence of the complication, which is just like a like a start stop for a seconds thing. It's just like you can play with it as much as you can actually use it for something. And it's literally a fidget watch. I love the kind of gold on gold look. I'm not sure if I've seen that specifically from Breguet before, though it's possible they did that, but they have these two watches that have this uniform look between the gold of the dial and the case and the movement for that matter. And it just looks fantastic. It's relatively thin. It's beautiful to look at, high emotion. I can't think of anyone who legitimately calls themselves a watch lover who wouldn't be like giddy about wearing this.
Yeah, it's cool. David?
It's just amazing. What more can you say? Go ahead and get it. Especially at 75K. It's a huge amount of money, but it's not that that high, to be honest. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money, but in the greater realm of things, it's not stupid price.
Yeah.
Look at the ore work we talked about just earlier in the week.
We're about
100,000.
because next up in our hit
Spoiler alert.
Final watch for today
Sorry.
is this.
so sorry.
Urwerk UR10 space meter watch recreates unique 19th century astronomical display. Ariel.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I have to explain this one now?
Well, you wrote the article, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So again, the true story is that the co-founder of Urwerk, Felix Baumgartner, is a multi-generational watchmaker, and his father was a watchmaker and a restorer. And he had this, I guess it was a clock. He thought it was a clock, and it was from a very important watchmaker, Gustav Sandoz, but nobody really knew what it did. And there's a picture of it. And if you look at it, like it looks like a regulator, but like the indicators are all wrong. You're like, nobody was quite sure what it did for a long time. And then they realized it was this one-off thing that was made for like a World's Fair at the end of the 19th century. And it was kind of just sort of supposed to be like, oh, look at what we can track. And it tracked a few different like things that the Earth was doing. So it tracks literally Earth movement. So it's trying to sort of demonstrate that the Earth is not still, and that the Earth, in addition to moving on its own axis, is also moving around the solar system. And so these are various different types of speeds and distances and things like that was showing. So they eventually figured out what this thing did, and then Urwerk being Urwerk says, that would be great on a watch. So they designed a movement that has these indicators on there, and the hands they move kind of in real time, right? So the one that says Earth, it moves almost as fast or maybe a little bit slower, but around the same rate as the seconds hand. The one that says sun moves a little bit slower. The one that's a little bit slower is the one that says kilometers. And that's just sort of moving in the background, doesn't really do anything except fun. And then the foreground is just standard hour and minute hands. And this is really the first time that there's been an oarwork that just sort of has standard hour and minute hands. On the rear of the watch, you can see their turbine style automatic rotor, which really what it does, in addition to looking cool, is make sure that it doesn't wind too fast, so that if it's exposed to extreme shock, it protects it from breaking, which I guess is a real thing. And then there's a synchronized 24-hour hand, which is basically an AM PM indicator going around that. New case that's kind of inspired by the Nautilus. That's what the sort of side architecture is there. That's exactly what it's supposed to be, and they were not silent about that. So it's also kind of like, also they have yet another integrated bracelet watch, even though that's not really the way they're positioning it. So it's not going to be everyone's favorite oarwork, but it's a really comfortable case. I'm sure this case will continue in other versions. And just sort of a cool story. And it's, it's a great conversation piece, right? Like not all oarworks are. I think some of them are kind of intimidating, but this is ironically much less intimidating and a much more kind of fun story. So again, super limited, 2 different versions of it. One's black, one's sort of a dark gray. The oarwork UR10 space meter.
I would like to call it the Uriel rather than the UR10. Just
I know,
the way it's written, or the Uriel.
We'll go with Ariel. I like that.
Uriel. There we go. So everybody, is it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit, and a miss from David. David, why is it a miss?
It's just not a good looking watch in my opinion. I mean, that's entirely subjective, but I wouldn't want to look at it too much. It's just that dial, the layout, the story is cool, but I think it's just when the case is cool, the bracelet is cool, but the dial, this bulbous dial, and everything else around it, it's just not a good look, I think. And it's not even quirky. I mean, it doesn't really look to my eyes that, where you put aesthetics aside and you're just like, oh, it's quirky, it's cool, it does something cool. So I guess I can do with the lack of a balanced or pretty design. But it's just not the oarwork I would get. Not in a this is the last oarwork I would get, and there's like a 10 strong list that I would die for, but not this one.
Good. $94,000. That changed your mind about it being a hit, Ariel or Ripley?
I mean, I'm not buying watches like this amount, and I'm appreciating it for what it is. I wore it for a little bit. I agree with David what he said. It's not the most good looking one by a long shot, but it's also something which is oddly understandable to most people because it more looks like a traditional watch dial. So as a social element, as a conversation piece, it actually sort of works better. And then because oarwork has the reputation it has, no one's going to be like, oh, that oarwork, you had to get that one. It's again, it's definitely not my top watch, but I enjoyed wearing it, and the relative plainness of the dial didn't bother me.
Ripley?
Again, not, as others have said, not my favorite oarwork, not the one I'd buy if someone gave me a blank check and said, go spend it all on one from the brand's catalog. But I like to see them doing something different. So much of the mechanical innovation that happens over there is really just kind of about just a novelty in terms of display. And this is also a novelty in terms of display, but more from a functional standpoint than just having a different like orbiting satellite system or something. I don't think it's especially pretty, but I kind of like the sort of like almost cartoon space age retro dial aesthetic with this complex, like actual space age looking case. I think it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. Not especially pretty or as technical looking as other Urworks, but I like to see them doing something different from a functional perspective that I guess you can call this, it's a new complication of sorts within their catalog.
Yeah, I quite like it. That's all I've got to say about that. But price, 100 grand, maybe not.
I'll take the Breguet before this if I were spending deep five figures.
This and the Breguet, it's the Breguet that's winning. Great stuff. Right, that's our show for this week. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find us the live show on a Tuesday at A Blog to Watch Weekly Live or on the main A Blog to Watch channel, and then the various recordings dropping on podcasters of your choice on a Thursday or a Friday. But that's it from us. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a great week. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.